welcome to today's virtual brunch with Women in Cloud. And we're very excited to have today's speakers to talk with us about unlocking enterprise opportunities. Thank you so much for joining us here today. And we really want to thank those of you that joined us on in the lounge for open networking. I'm sure you guys had the chance to meet some incredible people today. So I'm sure this might be a new platform for some of you. So I want to encourage you to use the chat. So what we're going to do first is just test to make sure that you can use the chat okay, and I'll tell you about a couple features that you can utilize in here as well. So you can ask questions by using the questions tab, and you can also upvote if you see a question that you'd like to get an answer to. We'll have a Q&A session at the end of the panel today, where you can engage with today's speakers. You'll also see a little emoji icon where you can share your live reactions in the general chat box. And general chat is where you can message to all of the attendees here with us today. If you want to share anything on social media, be sure to use hashtag Women in Cloud and then hashtag SheSoars. You can connect again after today's session. We'll leave the space open, the virtual lounge, so you can continue to engage with other attendees and some of the speakers as well. So we want to make sure that you can do that. So take a moment to just go in the chat and let us know where you're joining from. Say hi, let us know what's keeping you excited these days. As we do that, I just want to thank all of our partners at Women in Cloud. We have such a vibrant community of supporters from all across the industry, and we're really grateful to have their support as with us today and on all of our programming and events in our community. So go right ahead and let us know what's keeping you excited these days, and take a moment to let us know what choice has had the greatest impact on your life. Oh, grocery shopping is exciting. Excellent. Hi, Rachel. Hi, June. Nice food. Is that a choice that's had the greatest impact on your life? That's excellent. Making 10,000 steps. Amazing. The weather. Oh, yes. Perfect. Oh, taking bold steps to apply for that job, Hannah. Excellent. Spending time with your kids. That's so great to see all these exciting responses coming through. So before we get started today, I'll share with you a bit about what you can expect in today's session. So we'll start with some opening remarks, and that'll be by Chaitra Vidulapalli. She is the president and co-founder of Women in Cloud. She's also the co-founder and CMO of Mela. And she's going to tell you a little bit about Women in Cloud, about our programming, our mission, the reason that we do what we do, and why creating economic access for women entrepreneurs is so important to us. Then we'll have a keynote by Sue Bohn speaking about unlocking enterprise opportunities. And then we'll add Yurim Yi to the conversation so they can have a fireside chat and panel conversation between all three of them. Following the panel discussion, we'll have a Q&A session where you guys can submit all of your questions, and we'll take time to have the speakers really dive in and give you the answers that you're looking for today. And then Chaitra will close with some closing remarks. And then, as I mentioned earlier, you'll be able to go back to the virtual lounge and continue networking with your fellow attendees here today, and speak about what insights stood out most to you, what resonated with you today. So with that, I would love to introduce to the stage Chaitra Vidulapalli. She is an incredible woman. If you haven't had the chance to meet her, her energy is just so powerful and captivating. And in leading Women in Cloud, she has been a very radiant light to all of the people that she meets. She's a TED speaker, an author. She's very skilled at mixing spices. So if you ever need help on mixing spices, she can help you with that as well. So let's welcome Chaitra. Welcome to the stage.
Thank you, Riza. Thank you so much for having me. Hello, everyone. Are you all excited for a great brunch today? Yes, say in the chat. Perfect. Keep that chat going, because I would love is interaction. So it feels like I'm in the main stage today with you. So the word of the day that I chose was radiance. So I want to have all of you think about how you're going to radiate your energy in the world in a positive way. So I wanted to kind of take my time and really reflect this morning of what does that radiance really mean. So my action that I did was self-care for myself. So that, and I walked for 2 miles, which is very hard for me. So I stretched myself and walked for 2 miles to really prove that I could do it. And it was really fun. So today what we want to talk about is a little bit about Women in Cloud, then have a great discussion with Sue and Yurim. So how many of you are new to Women in Cloud? Say yes in the chat box. But the intention of this whole reason for putting a Women in Cloud as a program was because there were some really glaring issues that we needed to address. One was less than like 3% of the female entrepreneurs were part of the channel programs in the tech. Especially like when you think about Microsoft's channel being 350,000 partners, we were a very small amount, right? So that was one area. The second one, less than 2% of the women entrepreneur had access to cloud technology to even build solution. And because you don't have access to technology and customers, then you had was, investors were not ready to give you investment for building your business. And the one which we really honed on was less than 1% of the female tech founders and entrepreneurs were awarded corporate contracts. When you look at it, we said, what if 2.5 years ago, what if we create access to, how about we create is $1 billion in economic impact for female tech founders and working with the UN and accomplish this by 2030. How would that look like? Well, it would create lots of jobs. We know that when women have access to economic opportunities, they create opportunity for the others. We also get to bring in diverse solutions in the market. And third is uplift our society to be prosperous. So that was the big narrative for it. That's how Women in Cloud was born. It is economic development initiative, but really a community-led to take action to generate over $1 billion in economic opportunities for women entrepreneurs by 2030 through partnership with corporations, community leaders, and policymakers. And the way we do it is really to ensure that women entrepreneurs can win corporate contract. So it should not be 1%. We should be at least 30% minimum in next 5 years. So that's the intention to get there. And the way we do it is through community building. And really the community is really a strong business network. So if you look at all our events, we focus a lot on networking and creating your access to opportunities really well. Second is we also have is a cloud accelerator. We partnered with Microsoft to create Women in Cloud Accelerator to help women entrepreneurs to have an immersive readiness programming, like training to win the enterprise opportunities and global stage to showcase their business. We have some of the entrepreneurs with us today, so please take time to connect with them. And they have seen remarkable progress in what they have done. And the third one is the public policy advancement. We know there are systematic barriers, systematic challenges, and we are working with legislators to really unlock the procurement vehicles in public sector, as well as working with the corporate leaders to unlock the procurement vehicles in the corporate sector. So that's the mission, and I want all of you to get involved. This is something I cannot do it myself. The community has to come together. We take a collective action. We can do it. Now, when you think about how do you get engaged, there are multiple programs throughout the year. So you can join the annual summit, which is happening this year, but it'll be digital. I'll talk a little bit about it. And then we'll have the Cloud Accelerator, which is we are kicking off the 4th Cloud Accelerator in August. We have Executive Connect, where we bring in the decision makers and the influencers, meet with the entrepreneurs. We just finished one during the Inspire timeframe. A lot of awareness campaign, so you can participate in that. Pitch challenge, and also industry event inclusion. So we have partnered with Innovation Women to really bring 1,000 women from Women in Cloud community to be speaking on those industry stages. So please get engaged. We want your voice to be heard. With that, we just released is the COVID-19 impact report. We did a survey. We did this research because there was no data available for the impact that a woman tech entrepreneur is going to face during the COVID. So we saw 3 things that happened. One is there's a financial impact up to $5 million in loss in the next 3 years. So we definitely have to really look into that area and say, how do we address it? And by working strategically with corporation, we can advance that so we don't have to see such a significant loss, because $5 million loss is easily at least 5 to 10 people losing their jobs. You don't want that to happen. Operational impact, most of the entrepreneurs will not be able to travel. So that is definitely a big issue. So we want to create opportunity for them to get connected. And the third one is emotional impact. So definitely, because staying at home and trying to do business is very hard. So there's a lot of emotional impact. So what I want all of you to do is take a moment to read this impact survey. It is, and the results, it's very meaningful. You may get something, a new idea to really make a difference and contribute to the mission. Okay. So please take a moment on doing that. Then we launched the Empower Her with a Mask campaign, which happened a month ago. We want to make sure our community is actually taking proactive actions to contribute for women and kids to have access to masks. We found out like 50% of the world's population will be impacted significantly with not having masks, and especially women. So what we did was, for the next 24 months, we will raise money. We will do is create an opportunity for you to gift masks, or as a corporation, you can pre-order this mask, so you will have your branded mask that you can also donate it. So please go ahead and learn about it, because it's important that our community takes a philanthropic act and also support the UN goal number 4 on advancing it. And for all of you, you are the first 33 people here on the call who will know when the VIC Digital Summit is happening. The theme is collective power. We want to make sure each and every one of you are becoming influential and powerful in the community. And the way we will do is by creating content around inspiration. So you get inspired, you get to connect with lots of people, and then we get to transform your life through providing you the resources you would need and provide access to them. So save the date. It's from January 28th to 30th. It's a 3-day megathon kind of experience, and everybody gets to meet. We are hoping that we will have 1,000 to 2,000 people engaged through this experience. Okay, so who's going to join us for the summit? I want to say, everyone say yes, yes, yes. Okay. And then join our community. This is our digital community, very active, very vibrant. We had over 150 people just join this month. We are still half into the month. And second is we are very highly engaged community with a very strong voice. So I want all of you to join, and I personally want to invite you to be there with us to really transform and take this mission. So now with that, I actually want to go into is with inviting Sue today. And Sue Bohn is like partner director of program management in the identity division at Microsoft. And she leads the identity customer and partner success team, which drives deep engineering relationship with customers and partners. She's a diversity and inclusion executive sponsor at Microsoft, and recently earned a recently earned a diversity and inclusion certificate from Cornell University. She spent 26 years in various marketing, evangelism, and engineering roles across the Microsoft divisions, from developer, business solution, Windows, cloud, and AI. She holds a bachelor's degree in computer science from the University of Minnesota. In her spare time, she's a classically trained pianist, and I am really excited to have her. When I was doing a readiness call with her during our speaker readiness, she reminded me of a quote of James Clear, what she embodies. Few things that you need to achieve exceptional results is quality. You take lots of shots. Quality, quantity, you take a lot of shots. Quality, you take thoughtful shots. Consistency, you keep shooting for a long time. Feedback, you get better shots over time. And luck, you get few favorable bounces. And that one, I would say, Sue, you reminded me of that. I said, that's what takes creating exceptional results. And you are one of an exceptional leader in the market. So I would love to welcome you to the Women in Cloud community. Welcome.
Thank you. Well, that was a magnificent introduction. So I'm just kind of basking in that. It really made my day. Thank you. So I have to say that having been in the enterprise for over 3 decades, it still was a challenge to come up with how to condense my experiences into 10 minutes of pithy guidance. And it's literally if you want to literally unlock something, I think of a single key. But it's really more than that. And so as I like to think in analogies, I really think of it in terms of how do you crack a combination lock? And that really means, you turn it to the left, you turn it to the right, you turn it back to the left. And there's really 3 things that stood out to me to crack the enterprise combination lock. First is to really know your customer. And to me, the best way to do that is through the technology adoption curve. Then really designing specifically for the enterprise and understanding how they're different than consumers. And then probably most importantly is how to seize opportunities that come along by what I'm going to call compelling events. And I'll explain more what that means when we get there. So let's dig into the first one. Understanding and using the technology adoption curve. Now, I imagine most of you've seen this. Most of you hopefully have learned about this construct of crossing the chasm. I highly urge you to read the book by Jeffrey Moore if you haven't. And if it's been for me a really useful way to understand customers. I refer to it over and over, whether I'm talking about a specific customer or an industry, or even the people inside of a particular company will follow some of these characteristics. And, crossing the chasm, that's sort of that's the place to aspire to, right? Is that you've made it when you've crossed the chasm. And that's even for startups, the point where you might think about, is it time to go public? But I would say that getting to the other side of the chasm, it's just as hard to thrive on the right side of the chasm as it is to cross it. Because as you can see in the diagram here, there's a majority of the addressable market of customers that are looking for complete solutions. And complete does not mean one size fits all. Now, we're women. We know this. We know that something designed to fit everyone fits no one well. So this other side of the chasm is where we really start looking at these complete solutions being what I would call enterprise ready. Or even a step further, how do I make my solution healthcare ready? So you have, all of these different things that are going to make this complete solution be very detailed and unique, either to a customer or to an industry, in a way that a tailor-made suit feels great. So now let's compare this to a consumer. On a consumer side, it's probably safe to assume they all have a phone, right? Well, not in the enterprise. There's retail workers that can't bring their phone. There are manufacturing floors that don't allow it. People in, hazardous materials wearing hazmat suits can't have any device with them. There's lots of additional things about an enterprise that make it different. There's different types of workers. There's first-line workers, of which there are 2 billion in the world, that now are getting access to automation in order to do things like their payroll, to do their timekeeping, to collaborate. And so first-line workers or first responders, are doing all of those tasks that now demand a technical solution in order for them to be more productive. So that's kind of the first one, is this know your customer. And I like thinking about it in terms of this technology adoption curve, that not all enterprises are created equal, and even themselves go through this journey. And as technology goes through that journey, customers will be in various stages. So now let's move to the second one. Let's talk about what it means to design for the enterprise. Now, I would say that if I had only one tip to offer, it's really about designing for scale. So anything that works for one person has to work for many people in an enterprise. So this means things like, I have a basic solution. Now I might need bulk import. I might need a remote installation capability. I might need a programmatic way to do something. So in addition to a user interface, I might have to have an API to do it programmatically, and PowerShell so that a IT admin can create a script to do it on behalf of a user. So you have that as sort of the first thing that comes to bear, is this notion of scale. It also means that the solution needs to be manageable. It has to be compliant. It has to fall under the rules of governance. And so, I've always wondered, if you took the one line of code that you wrote that actually did the task, what is the amount of code you write around it to do all of these other things? And I don't know that anyone's ever studied that, but my guess is that there's far more code outside of the actual solution that makes something enterprise ready. Now, this is not just a product difference. It also means that the way you engage with enterprises is different. And this means that there's things like no impulse buying. So when we were asked earlier, what's making us excited these days? For me, I just got a new set of jump ropes. They're called cross ropes. They're weighted. They're wonderful. Happened to just cross my Facebook feed. I bought them. That never happens in the enterprise. There's multiple people that are involved in the sales cycle. Your job is to find the decision maker. Your job is to solution sell, which means that you're not selling products, you're selling solutions. And I love one of the things that, if you're familiar with a concept called jobs to be done, there's this notion that people do not buy a 1/4-inch drill. They buy a 1/4-inch hole. And so when you think about it, how do you take your product and translate it into what is the value that it delivers? And then while you're at it, an enterprise is going to need distribution, replenishment, and they're going to need support when things go wrong. And so really, you're just really transforming away from being just a product, but being a solution. So let's move to the third one. So when I think about compelling events, and I think of these first two things of knowing your customer and understanding enterprises as table stakes, but the compelling events is where the ingenuity and opportunity comes in. And obviously today, what is the compelling event that's changed our work life and our personal life? It's COVID. And I just feel I'm obligated to say we are living in unprecedented times, that we no longer, can depend on things being the way they were. But with that is opportunity, the opportunity to work at COVID speed, the work that now needs and is demanded of us in order to move forward at the new normal. So that's kind of the one that's top of mind. But if I look back over my career, I think there's 3 types of compelling events that I've seen. There's regulatory events, technology shifts, and then there's cultural change. On the regulatory front, I'm so old that I remember the Tax Reform Act of 1986, which caused every HR system in the world to fall over because they didn't support flexible spending accounts and cafeteria-style benefits. It's a great time to be selling HR software. Then there was SOC. Then there was GDPR. Those things are the things where the systems fall over. And so what you end up from these regulatory changes is there's this obsolescence everywhere in the enterprise and a great opportunity to come in with new solutions. There's also the evolution of technology. And I've gone from mainframe to client server to internet to cloud, the advent of the PC, the advent of the smartphone. These are all disruptors that give this opportunity for a new solution to do better than what's in place. And while there's obsolescence and disruptors, I think there's one we haven't really talked about much, and that's the cultural shifts of things like Me Too, racial injustice, diversity and inclusion. We're steadily getting more women in leadership and in decision-making roles. And even businesses may have goals to have minority-owned businesses in their portfolio. These are excellent ways for women to get their foot in the door. And so this movement also from being sort of product-focused to solution-focused or experience-focused means that our customers really want relationships and they want full service. This is a great opportunity that the cloud offers through a subscription model of not just providing a product, but actually helping with the day-to-day operations of the task that's being performed. So I want to talk for a little bit now about female stereotypes. So how do you think women are sort of collectively spoken about? We're collaborators, we're connectors, we're caretakers, we're detail-oriented. If you ever get a chance and you get a chance to see Defending the Caveman, it's this comedian act. I think it actually lives in Las Vegas as its home, but it tours. And the notion of this show is that men are hunters, women are gatherers. And so how does a man shop? They go in, they see a shirt, they shoot the shirt, they buy it and walk out. What does a woman do? A woman walks in and goes, oh, they have a new line of coats. Oh, they now have socks that are in neon green. And we will walk around the store in a very circular way, very much and very different than the linear line of a man. So now all of these stereotypical qualities of women, I believe, are truly desirable in today's business climate. So as the world evolves from transactions to relationships, women are great collaborators. As the world evolves from products to solutions, women are gatherers of details to design effective solutions. We're not going to just shoot the shirt when we create a solution. And I think complete solutions inevitably mean integration with other providers and other solutions. Again, a need for collaboration. It's not about winning, but about working together. So I think there's a tremendous opportunity here. And in fact, I was just listening to an identity conference talk by some venture capitalists and their advice for startups. And they said that during COVID, retention is the name of the game, not acquisition, retention. So what does that sound like? Isn't that caretaking through all the life cycle of a customer? Now, we know we don't just have a baby, we raise a child. We don't just get a puppy, we care for a pet. Ladies, we know how to do this. This is our time. This is our time to be radiant and to be women. So let me wrap this up, and I'm going to just go to my last slide, which is just 4 tips to unlock the enterprise. So just briefly to recap what I've said, know your customer. Use the technology adoption curve to get started so you can see the roadmap of your customers and learn about your customers so that you can give them solutions that are tailored to their needs. Then design for the enterprise. Don't just complete the raw task, but give the enterprise solution, which has the security and the manageability and the ability to do programmability, all of that in cases of full enterprise-ready solution. And then finally, seize these opportunities for the new normal with COVID and cloud computing. I think work from home is here to stay. I think digital transformations are just starting, even though Satya, our CEO, said we had 2 years of digital transformation in 2 weeks. There's so much ahead. So let those female stereotypes work for you. In today's business and societal context, we need our female tendencies to go to work. Be proud that you're a good collaborator, a gatherer of information about customer needs, and you know how to understand and how to care for a customer. So now is a great time to put those stereotypes to work. And as my yoga teacher said, we're embarking on the age of the divine feminine. So let's not wait to see if that's true. Let's just go make it happen. And with that, let's go to Q&A.
Hi, Sue. Thank you so much. That was amazing. So for the community, show your love for Sue. How cool was that? What message resonated with you? Here is what resonated with me is we have to work with COVID speed. And embrace your stereotypes. It actually will work in your favor. And that is so true. So I'm going to embrace my stereotype, COVID speed. So Sue, that was amazing. So now we will actually head into the panel discussion around the topic of unlocking opportunities. And I would love to bring on Yurim Yi onto the stage. She's a program manager in the Azure Active Directory organization at Microsoft. She specializes in identity and access management solutions and also product improvements to serve customers in driving security access for every application to protect their key data access. She leads a team focused on serving Azure AD customers at scale. Remember that she's the key that you need to connect when you're working on enterprise opportunity. And she's currently part of the customer experience program and also has over 18 years of experience in technology and has spent last 10 years working with customers and the Microsoft tech. Among her, in her previous role, she also has worked with customers like Costco, Nordstrom, Genentech. And if you really want to understand what it takes to deploy technologies, especially cloud technologies and enterprise, you should definitely connect with Yurim. And she holds a Bachelor of Arts degree from University of Washington in speech communications. So first, Yurim, welcome. We are so excited to have you here.
Hi, everyone.
Absolutely. So now I want to actually warm up the community so people get to know who both of you are, because Sue, you definitely gave a glimpse of who you are. Yurim, I want to also have a glimpse. So Sue, what choice had the greatest impact on your life?
So that one is, it's a long story. I'll make it brief. And that's advice that I got from a high school teacher who said you have to be able to move in order to take advantage of career opportunities. So I started my career in North Dakota working for a mainframe company. I had an opportunity after we had put in some mainframe software from a vendor to go to work for that vendor in Chicago, which was McCormick and Dodge, which became Dun & Bradstreet Software, and had an opportunity then to experience, what it was like to be on the other side as the provider of the software rather than as the implementer. I then had an opportunity when client server came around to move to the Bay Area and work for a startup. And we did some different tools products in a company called Viewpoint. And as in the startup, I think that I had 8 different opportunities when the company was bought by a larger company to move either into marketing or support or business development or program management. Like I had so much that I learned from that experience. And then, moving to Seattle to work for Microsoft. Picking up your family and moving is not easy. But when you look at it from a career standpoint, I think those experiences all prepared me to land at Microsoft. And then moving inside of Microsoft is really convenient because you don't have to pack a moving van and you don't have to change your 401k. So, and I was able to work in dev tools. And as you mentioned in the intro, I've worked in a lot of different places and different roles in Microsoft. So I feel like, I don't know, my husband mentioned this the other day, said like everything you did has like culminated in the role you have today. And I don't think that was necessarily planned. But it sort of happened organically. And so that ability to, take a chance working for a startup was a pretty big risk for a farm girl from North Dakota. But at the time it was like, well, we don't have a mortgage. Let's give it a try. Like those are the things that really made an impact for me to have a career that landed at Microsoft.
Thanks. So, like for me personally, the choice was to make a decision to move to US. And it was interesting because my journey was to be a housewife, and see now I'm a business owner and I get to really innovate cloud tech solutions and been in the tech industry for a long time. So that choice that I made not to be a housewife and then move to US was probably the best choice, and it really changed the life for me. So, and Yurim, do you have anything the choice that made a greatest impact in your life?
Yeah, mine was right before I joined Microsoft. I graduated with a liberal arts degree at a college and went into sales and was very successful to go that path. But I thought if I'm in Seattle, I might as well work for the best company. And so I left a job that I just got promoted in just to take a risk and take a low opportunity in Microsoft in 1999. And since then, it's been an amazing world with somebody who's not technical. And you know, Sue mentioned she was a farm girl. Well, I'm a product of an immigrant parents who left Korea for their children, and all this pressure to do well. And so that was the risk. And Microsoft has been 99% of my career in multiple ways, but they've been my main employer. So that was the risk I took, and I'm at my best job that I've ever had. So yes, it was worth it. And
awesome, Yurim. I'm going to ask another question, because, you know, when you talk about being in the tech, being a woman of color, when do you feel most vulnerable? And is that, do you feel it every day, every week?
I feel it all the time in life. And I think, you know, we know in this climate, I mean, I think we've improved quite a bit the last 5 years, but women in tech is very limited. Working with customers, and I would say I was a technical account manager, and in that role, 2-3 years of that career, I was the only female technical account manager on my team. And then I go visit my customers, and I'm the only woman in that meeting. And so, but with that, that's not what made me vulnerable. I usually feel vulnerable with change or ambiguous situations where I don't know. And when you're representing Microsoft, the portfolio of Microsoft product is vast, you know, just the enterprise technology. And so many times I'm in those meetings and they'll bring up a technology. It might be our own, or it might be a dependent competitor technology, but it's in part of their infrastructure. And so I would say I've learned to embrace change and being vulnerable, because you can't know what you don't know, but that honesty and just being open to that conversation and being just open to change and adapt is really makes you stronger. Uncomfortableness, actually, I've learned to embrace that, because that does build a muscle and strength. So many of you, I'm sure, are in your companies, and there's areas that you're very strong and know, but there'll be areas where you don't know, and it's an ambiguous situation. So if you feel vulnerable in those areas, know that the flip side is strength, and you're going to build a new muscle to make your product or yourself better. So
yeah, thank you to both of you for sharing those personal stories. And I really would like to, you know, welcome to the today's brunch. And we are talking about unlocking opportunity in the enterprise market. And we all know that it is an art and a science. And the people who have actually worked in the enterprise market, they kind of know what it is, right? Because they understand the nuances. That said, when you unlock these opportunities, what I've seen is it changes lives of companies and people. The economic stability and prosperity becomes the normal for them. So with that, I would like to ask Sue, is what does unlocking opportunity mean to you in the enterprise market?
So let me first answer that as I would if I was sitting, you know, in my role at Microsoft in the identity team. And that's whenever we talk to customers, there's really 3 things that our customers are looking for. So if you can unlock those, you unlock opportunity. And that's to increase security, to improve the user experience, and to reduce cost. And so we've always have this interplay between if it's more secure, is it harder for the users to use? And so you want to minimize friction, but then if it's too easy, is it really protecting my enterprise? And then all of that wrapped in, is it, especially during COVID, is it costing less? Can I spend less? So that's sort of in my day-to-day how I think of unlocking the enterprise. But it's interesting, after I did this prepared the talk that I just gave, I think maybe I could have done it over and said that the key to unlocking the enterprise is single sign-on. At least from the standpoint that when customers look for a solution that is secure, improves user experience, and reduces cost, a great way to do that is to have your application integrated so that you have the security of your estate, that you have an easy and familiar way that users will actually go through the user sign-in experience and not try to circumvent it. And that you have these capabilities that give you the manageability and the governance and the yada yada that I talked about earlier. So for me, I think that's probably the notion of, if you're writing an app It's making sure that that app fits well into the existing estate and the portfolio that the enterprise has. And then, that ability, as I said earlier, of understanding how to actually sell into and understand how to meet the needs of an enterprise. So listening is probably the other skill of being able to really understand what a customer's unarticulated and unmet needs are, because they don't always ask for what they need. So that's part of the translation. So if you can deliver single sign-on, if you're writing apps, and if you can understand your customer and be able to really get to the meat of what they really need, I think you're on your road to unlocking the enterprise.
Absolutely, Sue. When you think about access and the single sign-on is that door that opens up the enterprise market. And whenever we have worked with enterprise customer, the first thing they say is, do you have a single sign-on? Because we don't want to have a specific sign-on because the security is threatened. And it also has to go through the technology team to approve that so that it's easier. So having a single sign-on is a critical component for it. Yurim, this one is for you. In your current role, how do you help founders and entrepreneurs to be successful in building their cloud solutions?
Yeah, great question. And I think for Rachel, I'll repeat the question. It's helping enable success for founders and entrepreneurs in today's cloud solution. I would say the cloud has been a buzzword for the last 10 years. I would say about the last 5 years is really when it's taking shape. And it is a game changer. Technology at the end of the day in the business world is an enablement. It's a platform, it's a tool, but it enables your business. And I would say in the last 5 years, really the movement to the cloud is really taking shape at a mature state. And even customers that we engage with on a regular basis, they're really hanging on to the on-premise world, which is a legacy world. It's scaled, it's limiting. The cloud is moving super fast in the last 5 years. And so I would say, think about your business, but think about I go back to what Sue said, think about your business at scale, at the northest, the best business model at the max capacity you can, and make sure you build your business plan and the technology to support that business model for the cloud to that level. You might be at a early stage of your product solution business, but plan for that, because if not, you're going to be left behind. And, not just enabling that business model from the best technology with automation, but the security piece is really important to think about, because our world is a bad world more than it was 5 years ago in the on-premise world. And if you don't build to that capacity with the core infrastructure, you're going to be left behind, and your business might be moving super fast at a certain phase, but you're going to be left behind with technology, and you want to build for that capacity. So you're always ready to aim for that. So that is one advice, because I've seen our big customers to small customers, they don't build that, and it slows their business down. And you can't control how fast your demand for your product or your business growth, because that will happen from your customers. So you want to be prepared for that.
That's a great best practice, Yurim, is kind of building for the capacity so that you can actually accomplish the goals with the customer. Sue, are there any best practices that you have seen in addition to what Yurim is talking about in winning the enterprise opportunity? Because you get to see the entire channel.
Yes, indeed. So I would say that one of the best practices that I really admire is listening and really understanding what the customer needs and providing that complete solution. So I want to tell the story of a startup named Yubico. They make security keys, and they created these keys, and you might think of them as a hardware company because they create hardware. But as they have scaled and crossed the chasm into being right now in passwordless, one of the primary ways for these people I talked about that didn't have a cell phone, they might be able to carry a key in order to log in. Those kinds of scenarios, these keys have now become very, very interesting in the cloud and becoming a very interesting security scenario. But enterprises told them, well, what happens if my employees lose them? And how do I get them to people? And now with COVID, how is that going to work in the office? So Yubico came up with something called Yubi Enterprise Delivery. So they now have something that's like key as a service. So they're actually creating a way for these keys to be sent directly to employees. They're provisioned. IT can actually, if they want, check their inventory levels, figure out who gets what kind of keys and so on. And they were able to do this so that like enterprises didn't have to downgrade their security during COVID, or just in general as we move to a more mobile way that our workforce works. So I think that's an excellent example of listening and going and saying, I'm not just a hardware company. I am a key as a service company. I am providing this ability for people to log in safely. And I think that's an excellent example of going that last mile to be able to give the full solution.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And so we have one entrepreneur in our cohort. They do rainbow password protection, and it's a pretty phenomenal one. I would love you to at least explore that solution, because they have done is taken the key into a completely different level for the financial sector. Having you take a look at and see how the AD can be activated would be pretty spectacular. And that's where you bring in the diversity in mix on how the technology can be implemented in the enterprise market. Yurim, any other best practices you have to share with us?
Yeah, another thing is just listening to your customer. I think that's really key. Again, I've worked with over 25 enterprise customers at Microsoft, and the technology, again, supports the business, and every customer and their needs are very different. And your product might be in one mature state, but learning from customers what their needs are will help your product better to serve not only that customer, but in general, there'll be additional customers need around that. So that's where, as being part of engineering, we're here to talk about our solution that we have in place. But we're also trying to make our product better by listening to our customers' needs, so we can give feedback back to our engineering to make that product to adjust those needs. And really, your product, you don't have to come up with the best solutions or better features. That will come from your customers if you listen. And that listening portion is not going to be totally spoon-fed. There's a portion of what you have to listen and interpret it and make it into your own spoon. So I think if I give any advice, that's the best way, because you're going to see there's needs out there that you didn't even realize that's going to come from your customers that will mature your product and bring it to the marketplace as a better product.
Yeah, Yurim, I love it that you said is you have to listen and create your own spoon. That is the key. With that, Sue, this is for you, is tell us about the Azure AD program that is available for all the entrepreneurs, especially women entrepreneurs. You have made a special track for us. Why should they all care about it? Why should they invest their time in building this?
Sure. So let me first just step back a second and just talk a little bit about sort of the shift that Microsoft has made. Our mission statement, many years ago when I started, was a computer on every desk in every home. And now it's about helping every individual and every organization on the planet achieve more. And that shift to helping customers and our partners is why my team exists, is our ability, as we've talked about, and I think Yurim talked about like how quickly we have to work now at cloud speed, that we had to have this way to cut the distance between our customers and partners and our engineering teams, so that we basically co-engineer and we build what our customers want, straight away, rather than, this maybe a longer sort of cycle of improvement. And so, we're here to help with that. And so what do you get from Azure Active Directory? First of all, we'll help you. And I have people on my team who will help with building your solution, help you with integrating and getting into our, what we call app gallery, so that you have a listing that means that our Salesforce then becomes aware of you and the solution you offer. And so really, I think two things that I would say, if you looked at it at a zoom out, and that's that there's, I think, greater market opportunity. There's actually a study that Forrester did that they looked at a couple of our ISVs, Zscaler and Workplace from Facebook, and they felt that this integration really accelerated their sales cycle and helped with product adoption. So, better market opportunity, because actually as this, I don't even know what our numbers are because they changed and they're growing, but this study went on to say that we actually have over 200,000 organizations that use Azure AD. I think that's actually low. We do 30 billion authentications a day. So there's lots of customers out there. So that exposure, I think, is a certainly shows the market opportunity that's possible. And then the second, really, why should you care, is it's just easier to integrate as it's built in. So you're not building the security and the identity back end, you're using ours. And so then you can just focus on building the solution and the value add that you're good at. And you can use the governance, the compliance, the yada, yada that I talked about earlier that comes with the identity platform from Microsoft.
Absolutely. Thanks, Sue, for you have working with your organization, with you, with Daisy, with Nati, we were able to definitely see that we are able to elevate the solution to completely to an enterprise level. And that partnership really matters. So if any of the entrepreneurs are there thinking, why should I join the enterprise, the cloud accelerator? There's one reason, because it will help you get your solution to be Azure Active Directory ready. Plus, you are also getting access to the enterprise opportunity a little bit in a very fast way. So that's why you want to be there. This is the last question for the panel, but I want all of you to take a moment to write your questions for them so I can moderate it. So Sue, Yurim, what is your personal commitment to creating economic access for women in the tech industry in the next 12 months? I know both of you give so much love to the Women in Cloud community, but what is your personal commitment?
So I guess as an employee of Microsoft, I have to do a public service announcement that I think there's things that Microsoft is doing that I just want to remind everyone. I believe you've had a presentation from M12, which is our sort of venture capital arm to help women that are building businesses. Gabriella Schuster is a Women in Cloud lead in the Leader Circle. So she's a sponsor. What am I personally doing? Well, I have a Voice of the ISV blog where I can showcase wins and solutions that are compelling. We did Monday.com recently. So ways for us to be able to showcase and talk about your solutions with our customers. And then just on a true day-to-day level, my commitment to women is to have diverse slates for all of the roles that we have open. Now, it is COVID, and it feels like maybe it's not time to hire, but the cloud is out there and growing. Our business has grown as there's been more work from home and learn from home and play from home. So we're hiring, and I am committed that we can try to bring in as many great technical women into Microsoft as possible.
Thank you, Sue. Yurim.
Yeah, I'd like to commit in two ways. I'm new to Women in Cloud. This opportunity brought me to participate, and so I'd like to commit to just being available as how I can help from business to technology, and I've already met two folks in the networking sessions earlier. So just happy to just add expertise or voice where I can. But secondly, I work for Sue, and I own a program for our at-scale customers, which means everyday customers. And identity is where, again, part of that journey to the cloud and really securing and working in a new cloud mentality is not traditionally going in the office. It's really about how COVID has really pushed us to work remote, and that starts with identity. And so again, building that infrastructure. Luckily, the program that I own is for everyday customers, and there's built-in help, assistance with our technology in that space. So from a work and a business perspective, the program that we have is available to you all. So that's the secondary way, I'd love to help and ensure we can help the audience community here from a business point of view, but also in a personal level as we can help.
Thank you, Yurim. Thank you, Sue, for really, sharing the insightful information. And we get to create two hashtags. One was the COVID speed, and second is listen to create your own spoon. So those were really cool hashtags we created. But I think you enlightened our community to really take action to build their business, especially in a partnership model along with your team, which will be very, very spectacular. We have just one question that came out, and if you have any question, please feel free to add it. The first question that we got is, what is the solution kit you have for customers and employees during COVID or work from home? Do you have any specific solution kit?
So I can go, or
go first. Go ahead.
So for me, and this is what we talk to our everyday customer, enabling remote from, again, technical is one thing, but security is really key. Again, we live in a climate today that is not the best secure world. Think about the recent Twitter, just look at the news and all the security. So as an enterprise, always assume there's bad actors out there, you're breached, and that means that you have to build your technical infrastructure with security in mind, but also your users in mind, right? Working remote, making it easy to work. That single sign-on that Sue talked about is making all your applications just easy for your users, but security can be baked into that. And luckily, we live in a world where technology is amazing. So I would just say, don't try to choose one or the other. You need the best of both worlds. So working remote in this COVID climate requires that to make your users be productive and work efficiently, but in the most secure way. And I would say, please think about those components as the technical element for your business.
So thank you. Sue, do you have something to add?
So I had to pause there for a second because I think your question I was trying to answer literally was what we do for individuals. My head, and this is the space I live in, is what are we doing for organizations? Mm-hmm. So we've actually done a number of blogs to help people with what they can do to work remotely and a set of guidance of things that they can do. So there's several of those, like 5 steps of how to help work remotely and keep your users secure. So there's a number of things that we've blogged about in that regard. And then I was thinking also we've given special teams licenses away. So there's a number of things that we've done to enable education, especially to be able to do these things without any sort of, what does the licensing model look like? So there's a number of things we've done in order to make our platform available for people who need it. And there's, I think, for first responders as well.
Thank you, Sue. That was very helpful. So now for the community is what resonated with you today in this discussion? Can you share with us? Because I would love Sue and Yurim to know. And is there anything that they can do to help you advance your work in the way you're building your business? Go ahead and type that in the chat box. Again, Sue, Yurim, what a great conversation. I learned a lot, and I know that I have to put in a little bit more effort to working with your organization to advance the things that we need to do. But as a Women in Cloud, we will definitely work very closely. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yep. Again, thank you. I know we don't have a lot of questions. I want to end the day with, first is 2 announcements. One is we have a pitch challenge that is happening soon. Please be there to support the entrepreneurs who will be pitching all the cloud solutions. So we are going to announce the finalist who will be pitching. So please be there. Second is also we have the Cloud Accelerator. We are in the final stages of picking the Cloud Accelerator. This one will be digital. It's a cohort number 4. So we want to make sure all of you are able to participate. And be here, join us, be engaged. And I do want to know, is on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being amazing, how was the session today? Awesome. So Sue, Yurim, thank you so much. This was so cool. And I want everyone to join the community and really make a big difference in advancing gender inclusion in the channel, in the technology industry, as well as in the enterprise market. Again, thank you so much. And let's join in the lounge area and I will come and meet with all of you. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Yurim.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.